स्क्रीन विजिबल है? ओके, चलो ठीक है, फिर स्टार्ट करते हैं फ्रॉम यूनिट वन. So in the unit 1 we will cover the overview of power system operation, energy control center and real-time computational control, SCADA, power system operation control in India, system security, voltage stability, role of information technology in energy control system, contingency analysis and system state and transient diagram. In this unit, these all terms like voltage stability, system security, role of information technology, real-time computational control, these all comes into under the SCADA system. So we will study one by one. So before that, first I want to teach you the SCADA. Okay. So here the SCADA full form is Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition System. In short, we tell it SCADA. So from the diagram, we are here the control and monitoring station. We are in the box. What is mean by this? Reply in the chat box. What is mean by this substation I and substation N, transducer, miscellaneous controllers, equipment, DCS? What is mean by that? By looking this picture, what's come in your mind? What is mean by SCADA? And what is the heading means supervisory control and data acquisition system? DCS means distributed control system. And what is the role of this distributed control system? Whatever that comes in your mind, please write in the chat box by looking this picture. Then only you are able to understand what is mean by this SCADA. Otherwise, I will tell by speak slide by slide and you will not understand. Anyone from the 63 students? One control building connected to the lots of other network. One control building means one control center. SCADA means there will be a one center in which all the sensors output and data is received. And from where Anupma Chaudhary is saying SCADA is a tool of collect information on power system and then perform required controlling. Yeah, this is the correct answer. Now we will see from this what is the collect information means and what is the performance required by controlling. These come under the SCADA system. So what we will cover in this unit, it is very important. If you will understand this 6 point, the whole unit is covered. Nothing worry about that. So we will study what is SCADA, what are the applications process, what is controlled by SCADA, means why we are using a SCADA, what the parameter we are controlling, and what are the principal operation. And what principal operation it means, it is if suppose there is a wireless communication, what the devices are used comes under the principal of operation of SCADA, and what are the function that perform SCADA, and difference between the SCADA and HMI. Many of us know that the SCADA and HMI are same. So there is a little bit difference between the SCADA and HMI. Now the SCADA unit will be completed. Regular control operation based on collected data on center. It is a little bit also correct. So we will see one by one what is SCADA. So SCADA is basically, before SCADA we have to know what is the data acquisition. Like here we see the data acquisition system. It's a data acquisition means a real time data available at control point. Real time data, why we require real time data? Anyone? Why we require real-time data? We can have a historical data or any Excel sheet of data. So why we require the real-time data? The answer is here. Help in decision making means if suppose we want to control instantaneous control. Yeah, that is correct answer. Instantaneous control means suppose the fault is occur somewhere. If we will get the data in lag of time, we will not able to disconnect that area of fault. It will be cause the huge damage. So that's why we need a real time data. So all the research are doing as much as fast we can get the data in less of time, like microsecond or millisecond, like that. So data acquisition means we collect the real time data at a control system that will help the decision making. And second, requirement to execute supervisory control. If we want to control any, suppose in SCADA, what we have to do, we have to control all the things. Like suppose we establish a plant, so there will be a lots of fault area, like in terms of generator, in terms of circuit breaker, relay. These all are used to protect the system. Why we are using this? Because these all are the very costly equipment. If we will not protect it, it will cause a huge cost of maintenance. So that is why the data acquisition system is required. And second, the give a picture of whole system at once. So like that, in every college right now, what we have do, like here, suppose in an online exam, so we have a attendance system. So why we are taking the attendance system? Because so that at one Excel sheet we can get that whose person is attending at what time. So time to time we have getting the exact data, like when the person is enter into the room and when the person is left the room. So like that we have to get all the data at one place. So it will be, if a pictorial form, it will be more easy, like in a load flow curve. So I am trying to connect it with the load flow curve. At by looking at one diagram, we can get the exact value of the load at a particular time. So if anybody asks me, suppose at what time, suppose at 12 a.m. or 12 p.m., what is the load? So by looking at the picture, we can easily get the value. Otherwise, we have to go to the Excel sheet. So it will be very hectic. So that is why it is required to get the data acquisition. It also facilitates the data sharing, and it's also required to run the energy management system. So that is the mean of data acquisition. So that is why it is called supervisory control. Why supervisory control? We want to control all the parameters that are connected to our power plants. And what is the data acquisition system? That is explained here, as I told you this here. So this is the mean of SCADA. So what is SCADA? Simply it is a supervisory control and data acquisition in which the collection and measurement and status data from the process. It is only the readable form. You can take the screenshot. No need to read one by one. And what are the application? We can use a numerous application. Here I just put only some of the example, like oil, gas production, facilities, pipeline or gas, oil, something, a railway, nuclear gas, hydro generation plants, etc. So you just take the screenshot of that. So now you have little bit idea about what is SCADA. One by one we will study how it is performed, what are the principle like that. Now moving toward the further topics. So what is SCADA? Just what is a SCADA? We have just studied what are the applications. Just we have take the screenshot. Now what is the control by SCADA? Means what we control by SCADA system. So we control basically what in the power station. What we have a equipment that is transformer. So we control what we will send the signal from the tap changer transformer. So we will control that tap changers, switching devices, shunt capacitor reactor. That is what will the shunt capacitor do? It is basically control the active and reactive power. Generation set point. It will be covering the automatic generation control system. That is excitation and power output and sequential control. So these are things that is controlled by the SCADA. Simply the transformer, switching devices. What are the switching devices used in power plants? What are the switching devices that use in the power plant? Anyone? Circuit breaker and relays. Yeah, that is the correct answer. So that what the circuit breaker and relays does, it basically send the signals. So where this signal will goes. The question is where this is only sense the fault area, and by sensing it send the signal. So where it will be sent? It will be sent to the SCADA center. So there we will control that signal, and how this the circuit breaker will open, relay will operate. These are controlled by the SCADA control system. Control system means a center. I will show in the diagram where is the SCADA, where the lots of screen is there. So there they are by watching continuously they control the all the areas. And third one is a shunt capacitor and reactor. So what is the role of capacitor? As we know, to generate the leading reactive powers, and reactor also it is used to generate the active powers. Generator set points. At what point generator? It means it will be covered in the automatic generation control system. I will show what at what point how to set that the steam is set into, like last lecture I show you the steam is slow down or increase depend upon the value of the load increase or decrease. Like that the excitation and power, it is all interconnected. When the input of the generation is reduced, that is the rotation of the turbine is reduced, it will be simply reduce the power output and excitation. And like that the sequential control one by one, this is the control by the SCADA. So by here looking at the diagram, what I have discussed, just we can easily see here is a power system which is I told you in the last lecture. The power system basically we study, that is generation, transmission, and distribution. So we have not go to the generation, transmission, and distribution area. We have to go before that. We have to go how the electricity is generated at the power plant. So we have to go in deep. So there is a SCADA system which will control all the parameters. So it is connected with what? So it will do what? The optimal flow control. It will control the reactive power control by what? Here I told shunt capacitor and reactor. Active control by reactors. State estimation and security analysis. Just it's the overview of that. You can understand what is controlled by the SCADA. So SCADA basically control all these parameters only. That is that is useful to generate the electricity. These are the basic topic. What is SCADA? What is application? What is controlled by SCADA? Now, what is the principle and operation? Principle and operation is what devices that are used to control these things. So we will see here. These are the devices. What the devices include in SCADA? And not one principle, it is for communication. So the devices include in SCADA is remote terminal unit, that is known as RTU, in intelligent electronic device, that is ID, and programmable logic controller, that is PLC. Why we are thinking that this subject is very tough? Because it is little bit connected to the electronics area also. So that's why it is look like that it is a tough subject, but it is actually not a tough subject. If you think that how the electricity is generated in terms of you, if you are curious about that, how it is controlled, then you will easily understand what are the units that are using to generate electricity per unit. So you will easily understand what are these things. So interface with physical devices mean these are the physical devices that operate on the principle of SCADA. And communication means direct electric wire. We will see the how the communication occur. Like we have a wireless communication or with wire communication. And these the radio frequency, microwave, power line carrier, and fiber optics. These are the application also of SCADA. So from the diagram we can see here. It's only to understand how the whole system is connected to one another. That is called the SCADA system. Like here we can see here the firewall. Here we get the wireless signal also. Here get the wire signal also. So this is the compromise of phasor measurement unit, IMD, RTU. These all are the units that are connected to the SCADA system. Only you have to just understand. I take this picture. Just look at this. And from these data, here we are collecting the data and we are getting here the display form. Here the computer connected with the SCADA LAN. LAN means simply a wire where we can get the data. Like in our college, we got the internet from the LAN. So that is why. So this is basically a display unit where we can get the value. What are the power value is varying, reactive power, voltage, angle. These all are shown is that, and different areas where the circuit breaker is connected. What are the fault areas there? These all are seen in this screen. So that is why these all are connected at a center. That is a SCADA hub center, that is called. Now, what are the function that a SCADA do? That is, it do the supervisory control. Means at this center, we what we have to, we have to control all these things. So we will do the supervisory control. That is simply the control on all the parameters, like how the voltage is changing. Suppose the frequency is changing in terms of frequency, we have to maintain the frequency up to 50 hertz. It is suppose reducing. So what we have to take the action so that the frequency will maintain at the 50 hertz. Like that, all these things, the function of SCADA is like data acquisition, as I told in the previous slides. Real-time database, why we are required? Because to collect the real-time database is actually a challenge in research area. There are lots of research going on how to collect the real-time data. So there are lots of method to collect the real-time data. This is, and also it depend on the forecasting methodology. So one research area also the data forecasting area. And fourth one is the graphical operation interface. How by looking the graph we can get the easily value. So it is also come into the function of the SCADA. Alarm processing. Suppose there is a fault occur, and when if we didn't get the alarm, then how we will know? So it will be, means the alarm should be bell at exact what time that the fault occur. So it is basically, it's all depend upon the information technology system. So if there will be a delay of 1 second, so it will be a huge loss of the system. So that is why these are the connected system. Map board interface, data historian and chart. So we will see the what are the 24 hours or monthly data in a historical form or chart form. In a map form also we can see here. So these are the function performed by the SCADA. And it is a very quick method. Suppose if we get any delay of millisecond, we will are lagging and we are having a loss of millions of rupees. So that is why we are depend upon the SCADA system, and we are continuously doing research in that area. So how we will get the real time exact data, because there is always a lagging, little bit of lagging in micro or millisecond. So we have to cover this thing also. So we can see here the these are the sensor which is connected to the by which the SCADA connect the center, and this here is a SCADA master, means that center where all the display units are connected, and here the HMI. Many of you, as I told, that think the SCADA and HMI are the same things. But these two are the different thing. In the last slide I will show you. So basically, what are the sensor and actuator? Basically sense the whatever the input criteria. Like if here is a power sensor device, it will sense the power. Or current sensor device, like current transformer, voltage transformer, it will sense the current value and will send to the SCADA RTU system, and with the help of the communication network it will go to the SCADA hub center, where we will see the all the data that are happening actual in the system. So here we can see, like say the sensor and actuator is connected to RTU. So sensor and connector means what are the sensor here? Suppose here is a device. What are the device? Any device, that is current transformer, relay, potential transformer, generator, whatever the unit you want to sense. These are connected to this RTU. So what is basically RTU means? Remote terminal unit. It is basically a microprocessor control unit where the data is input to in that. So we will see here the remote terminal unit is microprocessor control electronic device that interface object in a physical world. To distribute control system. To distribute control system means it is a distributed system. So or a SCADA system. By telemetry data to a master system. Master system is what I here show you. That is the master system. There is a master hub. There are lots of computer are there. The screen are basically not computer. There are lots of screen where the data are shown. And by using message from the master supervisory system to control connected to. So here the what are the system shows in the screen, what are the value of the data we show. According to that, suppose the fault occur or there is a message we want to send, that disconnect this line with the help of the circuit breaker. So how they will be disconnected by this? The SCADA system will send the signal to the RTU. From RTU, the message will be sent to that circuit breaker areas and it will be disconnected. It is not done manually. It will be done manually. There is a lots of delay. As I told you, it depends upon the real data. So we have to do as much as fast we can do. So that is our objective of that. So that is the difference between the SCADA and HMI. So SCADA and HMI, basically HMI is a part of display part of that SCADA system. SCADA is comprised of many units, but HMI is basically human machine interface. From here we give the input. It is basically in terms of the touch screen. Suppose we get the value of frequency 49.5. So we want to increase the frequency. So how we will give? We will increase the input of the stream. So how the input of this steam will increase, we have to reduce, we have to down the valve of that automatic generation control system. If you will see that diagram, you will understand there is a valve that we will reduce that. So if we will reduce that, the steam input will be increased. So if the input of this steam increase, definitely the turbine rotation will increase, and that is connected to the generator. So the output of generator increase. And the second term here, the frequency also increase. If the steam is increased, it is directly proportional to the input of the stream. So if we want to increase the frequency, we have to increase the steam input, or we want to decrease, suppose in any case the frequency increases to 50.5. So we have to reduce it 50. So what we will do, simply we will reduce the steam. How it will be done? Because it is having a very high pressure and temperature. So we will done we can't do it manually. So we have lots of equipment and it is connected to the sensor, and the sensor is given by this HMI. Simply we put here the touch, it is basically a touch screen. We will send the command by touching that, and it will be goes to that device, and it will decrease or increase the input of that steam. That is the basically difference between the HMI. So these are compromises of the SCADA, as I told you. Only these things cover in the first unit. Simply, what is the SCADA? Supervisory control data acquisition system. What is data acquisition system? Where we can go to the application. What is controlled by SCADA? What are the principle, what devices we use in the SCADA system, and what function the SCADA does, that is, and what is the difference between the SCADA and HMI. These are all covered in the unit 1 only. Now the second part of the unit, that is the overview of power system. First we go to the unit 1. What we have done, energy and control system, that is SCADA hub. Real time computer control. Why we are using the real time? Because we don't want to lag in the decision. SCADA system, power system operation and control in India. We will see here power system operation and control in India. Basically this is power system operation and control in India is comprised of the 3 units, that is load forecasting, unit commitment and load shedding. So by looking the diagram, it's a very complicated diagram, but simply what we have seen, we seen the generation, now here the transmission and distribution, but it is comprised of very complicated thing, that they are interconnected system. Nowadays there are lots of load is increasing day by day, so we are introducing the renewable energy also. So renewable energy also connected to the main grid system. So there is another challenge, how to maintain that voltage and frequency. Now the latest term is the electric vehicle. We can see here electric vehicle. The electric vehicle is can be used as the charger. So if there is a need of increase of voltage or power, so the electric vehicle battery can use as the generating station. Or if the electric vehicle get discharged, so we have to connect with the transmission line, so it will take the power from the transmission line. So these are also the challenges that are coming nowadays in a present situation. So these all are connected, how the frequency will be changed, because the future is we are having a electric vehicle, we are reducing the conventional vehicle and we are going to move toward the electric vehicle. Suppose the thousand means million thousands of electricities occur by the person in city. So what will the effect of that transmission line at that time? If they all are connected to at once. Suppose everybody is getting discharged his electric vehicle and they want to charge it in the night. So everybody will charge like mobile phone. Everybody charge mobile phone in the night. So everybody also charge their electric vehicle in the night. So all the electric vehicle is connected to the transmission system in the night. So what will happen at that time? What are the frequency input should be there? So these all are the basic challenges that are controlled by the SCADA system. And suppose there is a fault occur, so how at that time how the SCADA system will sense the fault area and how the it will react at that time. So these are the concern in that area. So before that we have to go what is the load means what are the load, that is electric vehicle and all the appliances that we are using in the homes, that all come into the load. So what are the loads and how the it is forecasting. Load forecasting means, what is means by load forecasting? What is load forecasting? Predict the power and energy needed. No, wrong. Load forecasting means I am thinking about in terms of load. क्या करना? That is the correct answer. Total connected load in future. Yeah, that is the correct. Total connected mean load forecasting mean basically depend upon the previous data. What's low like in the load duration curve. Suppose if we get the same load duration curve at full month, suppose, so we can easily by looking the map we can say on the Monday this will be the load of that area. So that is also called the load forecasting. But it is not that simple as we are thinking, because we are not getting the exact load forecasting value. It is just only the forecasting value. It cannot be exact because we don't know the human nature. I don't know whenever you are going to switch on your TV and when you are going to switch off your TV. So when the load will be increased or decreased, it cannot be forecast at once. It is just only a estimation. It cannot be exact value like weather forecasting. We see that the tomorrow will be the raining day. It may happen, it may not happen. It may be the percentage of that it may happen. So that is why the load forecasting is very important concern in that. So basically we do load forecasting to implement any power station in that area, or suppose the power plant is there. So how the energy should be produced or what are the demand in going to be increased in that month or yearly basis, we will basically control in that. Suppose like in month of May or June, everybody knows there is a use of AC, so it will definitely increase the value of load. So we will basically that time we also reserve the whole value in terms of thermal power plant in reserve, because in May or June we have to increase the demand of, we have fulfilled the increased demand. So that is all, these all are interconnected. And the second one is the unit commitment. What is mean by unit commitment? Yesterday sir also told you. Estimation of connected load in future. Anand Singh, you can say in future, your or day ahead, you can say there are three types of load forecasting: day ahead, monthly basis and yearly basis. Three types of load forecasting there, and there are lots of methodology here to forecast the load. So what is the unit commitment? These three terms are also interconnected with that. So what is the power system operation control? In India, it is not basically in India. Everywhere these three things are important. So first we have to forecast the load. Suppose we are the owner, we want to plant a power generation or power plant in any city. So we have to know first of all the power, what is the load at that city, and what are the affected, what are the factors that affect the load. We are studying second unit. In first unit, first we will study what is load forecasting. After that, what is unit commitment and load setting. So before installing a power station, we need a load forecasting. That is very important. Like that, you are hearing that is now a time the smart cities building. So what they are doing, they are basically integrating the solar and wind as a main source, and they are taking only little bit conventional power in case of peak load. So how the challenges will occur, you can imagine. So unit commitment is, someone said, unit consumption. शिवम, ये बताना कि हम फ्यूचर में कितना पावर दे सकते हैं. What is going to supply? Who is going to supply how much power? I don't know. Who is going to supply how much power? It is come into the economical load, economical generation schedule. Who is going to supply how much power? That is the term economical generation. That terms come into that, not here in unit commitment. Unit commitment means any commitment. Like we all knows the famous movie dialogue that एक बार मैंने जो commitment कर दी. So means commitment means what? If we said that I will provide, so in terms of, now look, in terms of consumer and generation, generating station, suppose in that area we need a 10 megawatt of power throughout the month or throughout the day. So we will basically pay the value of that in the terms of unit generated. So if we are paying in that area, so we want that much of power. They are not forcing us to. If you are giving a suppose we have a 2 kilowatt of load at every homes. So they are basically charging of a 2 kilowatt of watt value, and in that they are charging the what are the unit consumed by you. Suppose you are using a two more than 2 kilowatt, they will charge above then, and there is a also from some value there is a increase incremental charge. If you see your electricity bill, you will see there is a fixed meter charge. What is mean by fixed meter charge? They will charge because all these things are, suppose you are not using any electricity, you have gone for somewhere and you are not using, you are using zero power, instead you will get the electricity bill because they are charging a minimum value, because they are bothered to get the value to the generating company. So generating company also has a commitment to give that much of power they are demanded. So they both are the interconnected. So that is come under the unit commitments. So please try to understand means why the unit commitment is required, because generating company committed that I will give you a power at some rupees up throughout the month, and they cannot means refuse that commitment. If they will refuse, suppose in that case the power plant get burn in, suppose in that case, or they are not producing or any generating unit is shut down. So in that case what they will do, so they have to arrange with someone, they have to borrow electricity from the other state in their concern. So they will get in loss, but they will provide you the electricity whatever the demand of your city is there. So there comes the role of the discom company, like in UPPCL. So UPPCL and PGCIL, there are two companies, you can easily understand. The PGCIL or NTPC, suppose NTPC generate the electricity, and the UPPCL said in the UP I needed this much of megawatt power. Okay, now there will be a bidding and they will decide the price of that. So when the price will be decided, so suppose it decided that the 10 rupees per unit I will provide you throughout the that much of megawatt power. In between, the NTPC is not able to generate that much of power due to many constraints, like the failure of the turbines or failure of the sensor or anything. So they are bothered to deliver that much of power to UPPCL. They cannot deny or they cannot ask for mercy that I don't have right now electricity, I will give you in a further. No, it is not allowable, because the consumer is not accepting that. We cannot assume that we are paying the electricity bill and we are forced to stop the electricity of that much. because nobody is coming to your home that don't use that much of power. Whatever the power you are using, you are free to do. You have to pay that much of that, and we are ready to take that demand also. So these all are interconnected in that. So that is why the unit commitment is required. If suppose it is not required, so they will force you. Say up to that much time you are allowed to only that much of power to use. If this unit commitment is not in the system, so they will say only at suppose 10 to 12, you have to only switch on only one bulb. After that, you are not allowed to switch any another thing. So these are if the unit commitment will not in the system. So these are the very important terms also. Now the third is load shedding. What is mean by load shedding? Tell me what is mean by load shedding. How many loads on or off, timing decided. A little bit it is correct. Anyone else? Descending. At what time, which will provide how much power. हाँ ये भी ठीक है मीन्स बेस और पीक बेस लोड तो हमारा कभी भी ये तो फिक्स है। बेस लोड हमारा कभी भी चेंज नहीं होगा। बेस लोड का मीन्स यही हुआ कि बेस लोड मीन्स वो तो उतना रहेगा ही हमेशा। That is the they will charge that much of unit value. That is the base. After that, the peak load come. Peak load means at a particular time it happens. So for that we have another area like in second unit I told you how the peak load is controlled. In load setting, basically the real example we are facing in Uttar Pradesh, suppose the load is increasing in any particular area, at that time there is a huge pressure on the transmission line and the generating station. So there will be a SCADA system that will sense that in that area if the load is heavy and if suppose the further load will increase, that is the damage in that transmission line or something. So basically there are many methods to schedule load, but the last one method is if there is nothing happen, they will simply cut out the electricity of that area. So in Uttar Pradesh, everybody is facing that. Why we are cutting the electricity at that particular time? Because we are at that time scheduling the load. Because the SCADA system tell us with the help of the load forecasting that at that time that much of electricity is required, and we are suppose the transmission line is getting uh, what you can say fully loaded that time. It comes some in ATC we calculate that. So at that time the transmission line get is loaded maximum. So in that case, suppose the further it will increase, it is crosses the thermal and voltage limit. It will there will be a case of fault. So that's why they use the load scheduling. Means they will schedule the load or they will just like industry and there are three types of load: domestic, commercial, industrial. So they will ask to some industrial, they didn't ask to the domestic people, they asked to the industrial people at that time you should reduce your load. So after that we will provide you why. So everybody will say why I will reduce load. So they will say if you will reduce this load I will provide you some relaxation in the electrician bill. So definitely suppose anybody will say in the night 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. I will provide free electricity. So at that time, what will happen? everybody will start using 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. to use maximum load. Suppose we are getting 1 to 2 a.m. So what we'll do at 1 to 2 a.m. we will use the washing machine. We will switch on our all the loads at that time. If it will be announced that 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. the electricity will be free. So look at the mentality. Everybody now 1 to 2 a.m. everybody use maximum demand at that time. So that is called the load setting. But in case of you are getting 1 to 2 a.m. electricity free, you have to reduce your demand in the morning 10 to 12. If you are agreed with that, because we have a sensing unit, we will send that you are following our guideline. If you are agree with that, we are providing you 1 hour of free electricity in the night. So if you are agree with, in the future it is coming, we are getting the message in our mobile, we will get definitely. The research is going on, it is means on the way. Suppose in 5 or 10 years you will get definitely this thing. We are going to have like mobile recharge. We are getting a lots of offer there because load is increasing. We are integrating the lots of renewable energy sources. So in the future we are getting that things also. Like we are now able to pay our electricity bill. We are getting suppose you will put your registration number and you will see. If anybody had not seen, please go to the official UPPCL website and put your bill account number there. There is an option. If you will put your account number there, you will see whatever the load is varying and how your load is varying. But in particular, they will show you the 1 year or 6 month data at particular time, means hourly basis. They will show you basically a load curve of your house. Everybody, please go to that UPPCL website and by entering your account number, you will see easily how the load is varying into your house. You will see easily. I hope anybody have not seen there or anybody have seen in the UPPCL website. Anyone? If you are not getting, now you will check after this session. You just check, first take your electricity bill. There will be a mention of account number or any something number. So there is a 8 or 10 digit number or 16 db, I don't remember. So you will put that number in that area, and after that you will enter and some information required. You can see your all the loads of your homes easily. At what time what are the loads at your home, at what times what are the load at, it will be easily seen. So that is the case of load shedding. So these all three are connected in terms of load forecasting, unit commitment, and load shedding. These three are interconnected with each other. So this is basically the theoretical part. I don't want to read that slide, so please take the screenshot. Basically, there are two types of load forecasting, that is short-term forecasting and long-term. So in long term, they require the preparing the maintenance of schedule, generating planning like that. And in day-to-day operation, they use the short-term load forecasting. So please take the screenshot of that. Similarly, like the unit commitment, what are the basic terms they follow? These are the what I have explained. You will read it, you will easily understand. To maintain the cost, to get the incremental fuel cost. Fuel cost is very important. You know, the fuel cost, as I told you in the second unit, in the whole out the power system, the basically what we want the profit. So because of we to increase profit, we have to concern about the fuel cost. Fuel may be coal, maybe nuclear, maybe hydro, whatever it is, we concern about the fuel. So we have to what, we have to minimum level of fuel cost for all unit we have to measure in unit commitments to get the profit. What are the incremental fuel costs? Suppose the load is increasing, so what are how the fuel is increasing at that time, that we will measure. And maintenance cost also, thus it also affect the profit of that generating station. So these are the comes under the unit commitment. And the last, that is load shedding. There are two types of thermal shedding and hydrothermal scheduling. You will study and reading this you will easily understand. Loading of unit are allocated to serve an objective of minimal fuel cost. Here also it is the theoretical formula is that minimum fuel cost is known as the load shedding. So in throughout the power system operation control, we have to concern about the fuel and fuel cost. That is the basic thing. Now, a little bit more about the introduction. What are the introduction means? What are the basics? So these all things happen in the electricity. If we all are, as we know, we all are the electrical engineers. So from where the electricity just started? So it started because of this man, that is the Hans Christian Ørsted, discovered the electromagnetism in 1820. From here, the basics means is this year from 1820 the electricity is start means growing like that. So in 1831, Michael Faraday discovered electromagnetic induction and the first generator. So first generator in 1831 by the Michael Faraday and the first dynamo. Like that, after that, the electricity increasing, and now we are living the era of smart city where lots of the generating station is there. There are lots of sources of generation like hydrothermal, nuclear, geothermal, and lots of conventional and non-conventional generating station is there. And the present scenario is we are using electric vehicle as a producer and consumer. So in the future is of electric vehicle. That's why Elon Musk has investing that much of in electric vehicle. Everybody know the Elon Musk, I think. So the future is electric vehicle. So these are the introduction. You can simply take the screenshot and read it. And these are the basic definition. What are the electric capacity and electric energy? These electric energy and electric capacity, that uh, unit is same, but there is little bit difference in the definition. You can read here. Please take the screenshot of that also. That is not required for the objective purpose, just for the known person. Now we are just looking over the overview of that, what the power system it is. What are the constraints of the power system? Everybody know there are four constraints. If you are not know, then know from here there are four constraints. That is the active power constraint, reactive power constraint, voltage, and load angle. So what we are controlling in that SCADA, we are looking at the active power and reactive power control as we seen in the diagram. Also the SCADA, if there is a CT or PT, they will sense the voltage and load angle. So these are the constraints we have to fulfill. It we will see in the second unit also, in case of the numerical, what is the mean by active and reactive power constants. So for that we have to do how we will calculate the active reactive voltage, and these all are the slides are interconnected. I try to put slide in that way you can easily connect all these things. So what are the constants? That is active power, reactive power, voltage, and load. So now the question comes in mind, how we will calculate active reactive voltage and load angle. So we will calculate with the help of load flow analysis. In load flow analysis, how it is will be calculated? Suppose we will say it is a method, that is load flow analysis. It is a balance mechanism between demand and generation under incremental loading condition. Okay, so it includes what? So how we all the parameter active, reactive, voltage, and angle is calculated. So before that we have to input some data. So what are the data that are the bus classification? There are three types of buses. You have studied in power system 1. What are these three type of buses? Only few slides are left. Plus, please do it fast. What are the three types of buses? It comes into the gate exam also. PV, PQ, and slack bus. Generation, load, and slack. These Vishal and Anupma, you all are correct. There are three types of buses. That is the PV, that is generation bus, load, that is PQ bus, and slack bus, that is V delta. And what are the known and unknown quantity? In case of, suppose I will one by one, I will ask one question. In slack bus, what is the known quantity and what is unknown quantity in slack bus? These are the gate question now. Means the basic of the that one. What is the known and what is unknown quantity in slack bus? V delta. That is correct answer. In PQ bus, it is as name so that is PQ, that is P and Q it is known, and is PV bus, that is the generating bus, that is P and V is known. The unknown quantity we will calculate by the formula. Yeah, that is the correct answer. So in load flow analysis, basically we classify the bus. Either it is a PV bus, either it is a PQ bus, or it is a slack bus. So because of that, we will classify on that in the formula or in the whatever the algorithm is there. Second, the basic power flow condition. What are the power flow condition means in that line, how much power should be flow? What are the limits of that line? Because every transmission line has its own limit. We cannot transfer beyond that. So we will decide that much of we will decide means experimentally. It will be given in the data. If you will see the any data, if you are anyone interested, you will go simply search the IEEE parameters, IEEE 13 bus parameters, 14 bus parameter. So I will and after that the development of Y bus matrix. So how the development of Y matrix is calculated? It is also calculated Z bus, Y bus. It also a gate area question. How the Y bus is calculated? Calculation of diagonal and up diagonal element. Yeah, that is calculation. In that, what is the parameter we include for calculating the Y bus? And admittance. Yeah, that is the correct answer. We so for Y bus we have to take the admittance value. So these all are the basic minimum unit you can say of any generating station. Admittance, that is also correct. So we have to construct Y bus, then we have to set the limit. It is written in the reverse order. We have to construct Y bus, and we have to set some limit of the transmission line. Then we have to classify the bus at which bus it is, which is either it is a slack bus or PV bus or the load bus. Then we have to perform the load flow analysis. There are many load flow analysis method. Anyone of you know what are the load flow analysis method or mostly used? Very important load flow analysis method which are used. NR means Gauss Seidel Newton Raphson. The last one, there are three types of basically use. One is Newton Raphson is most commonly used. A very because it's having a very it don't require the iteration that much of. In Gauss Seidel, why we are not using Gauss Seidel? Because for every step, suppose there is a Y bus is changing or any load flow condition is changing, we have to calculate again and again. So there are lots of iteration it requires in Gauss Seidel method. So that is why it is not used nowadays. Newton Raphson is using. You can use Newton Raphson for the load flow analysis. And the third one is a fast decoupled Newton Raphson method, but it is not that much of use. Yeah, fast convergence variation. Yeah, the hertz, that is correct. You are fast decoupled. It is called FDNR method, fast decoupled Newton-Raphson method. But only we use the Newton-Raphson method because the limitation of the fast decoupled, because there is some assumption in there. So we use the Newton-Raphson method to calculate the load flow analysis. So up to now we know the load flow analysis. With the load flow analysis, what we will get the active power, reactive power, voltage and load constants we will calculate. So what are the aim after reviewing all these things? So overview, what are the aim to study the power system operation control? The main aim is to meeting the next day operation. Means what are the next day we are having facing the problem, that is what are the load that are going to increase or decrease. So that is we have to meet that problem. So we have to fulfill that demand. So that is meeting the next day operation. And what are other aim, that is to meet the minute to minute variation of the system load. To meet means what are the load is increasing or decreasing, we have to fulfill that one minute to minute. So that is our aim of to studying power system operation and control. And what are the objectives? The objectives here, it is written to understand and model. So because we have to understand, because without understand we cannot model that. If we will understand by looking at the load curve that how much this is load is varying and what are the constant we can take. So according to by understanding that things, we have to model that, because city to city it is modeled differently. because in UP, suppose we are reducing the load, means load to dealing at 12 to 13, 12 to 1 a.m. you can say, but in Bihar may be different. There are other strategy they can follow. So that is why it is called to understand and the model. So like that, these are the objective. There are some other objective also of PSOC. That is the governor control. That what I am talking about, that speed governor system. Governor is a device used to control the speed of the prime mover. How it is become, you can see in your book in power system first, speed governor system. You will easily, there is a two-page explanation of speed governor. You will easily understand how the speed is reducing or increasing with the help of a steam input. The other objective is the load frequency control, how the frequency of the load is controlled. Second is economic dispatch control and automatic voltage regulator. These are the other objective. You can take the screenshot. No need to study like that. Take this screenshot. One by one, we will see what is that things. So speed governor system is basically a kya, what speed regulation of the governor and control of the energy supply. That is come under the speed governor system. So basically what we do in that, as I told you, the steam input to the turbine, we have to control speed input of the turbine. And by reading this, you will understand. Please take the screenshot of that. Basically the speed regulation in terms of speed input. So we will, if we will reduce or increase the steam input, according to that the power output will change. That will be covered in speed governance system. Similarly, like that, it is automatic voltage, how the voltage is controlled. Suppose this is our transmission line and here the turbine is connected, and here generator is connected to the prime mover of the turbine is connected to the generator prime mover. It is coupled with each other. So turbine is, the input of the turbine is steam. Now look here, the power transformer will increase, step up the voltage, and it is connected to the power transmission network. Here we took the power transformer to reduce the voltage and by filtering, because there may be a noise or harmonic is there. So we will use here filter and it is fed into the comparator. So what there we have some reference voltage and here we get the actual voltage. So the difference of this voltage we get in voltage error. It will be given into the amplifier. Why? Because it will be a very small value. So we have to amplify that, and it will be given into the exciter. Why exciter? Because the here we are using the synchronous generator. So exciter is required. So exciter will excite the generator according to that input. So like that, everything is connected. Here the turbine input is also connected to this one. There is also a huge complicated circuit. It is not shown here. So like that, the voltage is controlled in that system. Just for overview, I took this example. So how the suppose here the voltage, we need to increase the voltage, the exciter will, so the input of this exciter will increase or decrease like that. The third one is load frequency control. As I told you, to control the frequency, we have to maintain the constant frequency by the speed regulation, which please take the screenshot of that also. As the mentioned here, it involves the sensing of the bus bar frequency and compare with the tie line power frequency. Like here, it involves the sensing of the voltage and compare with the reference voltage. So here, compare with the transmission line. So I didn't take the diagram of frequency control system. Similarly, the difference of the signal is fed to the integrator and it gives the speed changer. Here, the difference of the voltage is fed into the amplifier and exciter. So these all are interconnected. ग्रुप क्राइटेरिया अभी बता देंगे, अभी तो जो चल रहा है चलने दो गौरव. Now the third one is the economic dispatch control. As I told you, economic dispatch control means when the economic load distribution between the number of generator is considered. So it means basically what? Suppose the for this one we have to go to the example. First we have, please read it. Then I will tell you the what is the meaning of that. Read in a 10 second only, 10 or 15 second. Read it fast. What is mean by that? So economic dispatch means we have to go to the, like that. And I can make you understand. Suppose economic load dispatch means uh, power plant is there. Suppose there is a P1. This output is suppose 10 megawatt. Like that, it's P2, and this output is 20 mega or 15 megawatt, and it's P3, and its output is 25. So what is the total output can given by these generator? Simply adding this one. And what are the price? I have to take the price. Suppose this P1 generator, maybe a hydro or nuclear, it is providing at a price of at 5 rupees, 5 rupees per unit, per unit. Similarly, this one is providing the at suppose 8 rupees, and P3 is providing 25 at a price of 10 rupees per. So what are the total? Suppose that we have a total load of, fulfill the total load demand of 20, 30, 40, 50. I think it's a 50 and 50 megawatt. I didn't show you the value of that one. I didn't tell that it is in a megawatt. Okay, let's suppose Ashutosh is saying 50 megawatt. It's 50 megawatts. Now I have to do economic load dispatch. So total unit, how much of the cost we have to give to the generating station or generating company? How much is the cost of 50 megawatt? 370. Just simply multiply and sum 10 into 5, that is 50, plus 15 into 8, 120, plus 250. That is the cost. Yeah, that is a very good number, 420. I have took the random value, that is a 420. Many of us in this student, these are the 420, right? They are only came here, they are not responding any answer. Only few are of you only the responding. Other one is only just listening, or I don't know why they are here, because I am not taking the attendance. They are only listening like a movie story. Suppose now what I have told you uh, here, when the economic load distribution between a number of generator unit is considered, means economic load distribution now we are going to consider. It is found that the optimal generating schedule is affected when the incremental increase in one of the units. So now the load is fixed. Now we will suppose we want to reduce the price of that one. So suppose now this will converted into P1 is going to give you 20 megawatt, P2 is going to give you 12 megawatt, and how much that one is there, how much it will give. Let make it simple. It is 20. Now calculate the price. Now calculate the price. 410. I don't know what is hers is saying 410. Now look at the difference. Now we have a profit of what? Suppose it is in 10 rupees, or if I told you that there is a 10 rupees profit by scheduling this much of output. So we can see here, by increasing the value of P2 power plant to 5 megawatt and by decreasing the value of P3 megawatt, P3 output of third megawatt power plant to 20, it will reduce the prices. So there are the infinite combination of that. Like we can increase the 10 value to 12 and we can decrease like that. There will be an infinite combination. So there will be algorithm. So we use the algorithm. There is a optimization techniques that are used that will give the final value of that. Suppose they will say that the P1 should be 10.722, P2 should be 22.733, and P3 will be 21 point like that. So that will be the optimal value of the generation to fulfill 50 megawatt of demand, in which we will get the maximum profit. That is the use of basically the economic load dispatch. So how they are controlling? There should be an economic load dispatch center. There is a center. They will simply calculate all the data and how the electricity and load is demanding. Every time they have algorithm they are using, and the objective of that algorithm is to get the maximum profit. So because of that, we get the maximum. Like here in the simple example, we have get the 10 rupees profit. Only the scheduling these P1 and P2. Suppose we will schedule P1, P2 and P3 third. Suppose there are thousands of generator connected in with one other. It is not possible manually. So that is why the algorithm is required. So that is why we study the economic dispatch, and how it will be converted. There are some constant. We will study in unit second. So there are two constant also, when there is a loss, when there is no loss. So we will see here in the second unit, in the last topic that I will cover. So like that, these all are the things. Similarly, the system voltage control. What are the system voltage control? That is the control the voltage within the tolerable limits. So what are the devices that are used to regulate the voltage or to control the voltage? These are the static or compensator, synchronous condenser, switches, capacitor, reactor, that all are used to maintain the voltage and to control the voltage. And similarly, the security control, that is monitoring and control. What are come into the security control? That is monitoring and decision and control. That is the last slide of the system, means of the unit. That is the last topic of the unit. That is monitoring, decision and control. So please take the screenshot of that also. In monitoring and control, basically we sense the signal by with the help of relay. It is mentioned here the relay. So condition of the system continuously absorbed in the control center by relays. If any continuous severe problem occur, system in is abnormal condition. So that is called the abnormal condition. So there will be a abnormal condition. We will take the protective action to control it. So that is why the control is required. So in that, the proper command are generated for correcting the abnormality to the normality to protect the system. If there will be a no abnormality, then it will be observed that the normal operation is running throughout the day. No worry about that. Like that, we have to monitor and we have to control that. We have discussed all the things, SCADA, load forecasting. And the last topic is contingency. Contingency means, suppose there is a lots of generating station, GENCO, and transmission and distribution. Suppose the load is increasing. As I told you, that is the transmission line has its limits. We cannot transfer beyond its limits. So how we will calculate? It will be calculated in terms of available transfer capability calculation. So when there is a suppose sudden increase in load, so there will be effect in the system value, or sudden decrease in load. So there may be a fault occur. So all these conditions come under the contingency analysis. So there are lots of method to control the contingency analysis. Is called the congestion management, like generation rescheduling, transmission fact devices, etc calculation, demand responses, load curtailment. So all these comes under the congestion management. Like that, we control the congestion in the system, like sudden change in the demand or any outage of line or any fault occur. So how the system will recover itself? So it is basically comes under the contingency analysis, and which is my research area. I am researching in that field how the system is behaving when there is a sudden increasing load or when there is a outage of line, because it is a complicated system. If you see in the diagram, let me show you. It is a IEEE 30 bus. This is a last slide. IEEE 30 bus. I'm working on that field only, like that you can see here. Any diagram you can take. Okay, it is little bit, it will be busier. So it's only a 30 bus example. So we can easily calculate the 30 bus example. The voltage, whatever we have studied now for the load flow analysis, we have to know all the value of Y matrix. So how the Y matrix it is calculated? Like simple in the our gate exam, we will take only 3 parameter like that. We have given only 3 bus or only one generator, and like that we have connected to one each other, and all the R or X parameter is given. We will simply calculate the Y bus matrix. After that we will put the minimum and maximum limit of that parameters, and then we calculate the load flow analysis with the help of Newton-Raphson or Gauss-Seidel method to get the active reactive power constraint. Now suppose there is a system, it's a very simple system. In real system there are thousands of generator and thousands of transmission line are connected. So when suppose there is a line between 27 to 30 is disconnected, so how all these parameter will change? Basically comes, so definitely there will be a effect of this outage of line to all the parameters. So it comes, maybe suppose there is a transfer of power of 10 megawatt in that. So if it will be disconnected, so this power is distributed among this. Maybe there is a chance that is this line have not the limit of that much of capable of bearing that much of outage. So there is a chance of contingency. Okay, so there is a chance of contingency. So that's the come into the contingency analysis. Suppose there is a generator outage, then what are the effect on the transmission line parameters? These all come into the contingency analysis. So that's what I want to show you. And the last one is the role of information technology in energy control system. Please take the screenshot. This is the last slide, Anupama. And आशीष मौर्य, पढ़ लो क्या करोगे घर पे. पढ़ लो बेटा, अभी एग्जाम आएगा, अभी 0 पा जाओगे क्विज में. Please take the screenshot of that.